The future is here. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. A Hot 100 chart, updated daily. The most accurate price guide on the market. Every card has its own profile with a wealth of information. Know the precise, real-time value of any card in the system. On demand. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby. The game changer is here. Card Ladder.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
How are you?
I'm doing well. Somebody said, is that your EKG? Dude,
Nice.
the pulse of the hobby is an apt metaphor for an EKG, I think. Actually, I like that. I like that metaphor quite a bit. The hobby is all over the place, man. Like, even as cards tick up and the hobby gets bigger and there's more people and there's more money, the fluctuations that you see spent day to day on eBay are still astounding. Yeah.
And if you ask two people their thoughts on the hobby, one would say it's the best it's ever been, and someone else would say it's a disaster.
That's very interesting. Which pole are you closer to among those two polar opposites? Are you closer to it's the best it's ever been, or it's a total disaster?
It's the best it's ever been, dude. The parts that are a disaster right now are because it's just so popular right now. There's so many people in the hobby that we're kind of seeing the breaking points of some of these things, based on the volume that's coming in. Like, grading companies are having issues. Probably the main topic for tonight, and the main thing that people are pissed off about. But the reality is that's happening because of how much activity there is in the hobby.
That's true. Something we're going to talk about a little bit later, but as more people get involved, then you increase the incidence of good actors and bad actors. You're going to get more of both. So choose your friends wisely, as they say. Okay, chat is filling up quickly tonight. All right. So today is November 13th, Friday the 13th. Welcome to the crossover. And Christina has made her way to the room as well. Say hello, Christina.
Hello, Christina.
She always interprets that question very literally. Lots of topics on the agenda for today. Have a fun one to start with, and it comes from Rodman PC, and a guy who's always ahead of the curve.
I know that guy.
His comment is 2 words: Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray. So I figured I would rattle off some of his stats, as his team is exactly halfway through the season. And then you can perhaps fill in a little bit more as an Arizona Cardinals fan. So the Cardinals are 5-3. Their next opponent is the Bills, who are 7-2. Kyler's quarterback rating is a modest 77, which is good for 10th in the league. But if we dig into his stats a little bit, they become very impressive. So passing yards, he has a little over 2,000. He's in 13th. Okay, that's cool. Passing touchdowns, he has 16. He's in 11th. Okay, that's cool. He has 7 interceptions. But rushing yards, he has 543, which is the most among quarterbacks. And he's on pace to have over 1,000 yards rushing, which is insane. He has 8 rushing touchdowns, which is tied for the most among quarterbacks. He's actually tied with Cam Newton, which is interesting. But perhaps the stat that sums up his accomplishments this year the best, fantasy points per game. He is averaging 34.1. That is first among quarterbacks, even higher, 0.2 points higher than Russell Wilson's per game average. So Kyler is the king of fantasy this year, at least among quarterbacks, having a pretty phenomenal season. So there you go, Rodman. Oh, and look, he's talking trash about me in the chat as I'm just rattling off the Kyler hype for him. So there's some stuff about Kyler. What do you think about Kyler, man?
I think he's arrived, man. He's amazing. I mean, that last week, as a Cardinals fan, I'm like, oh, I'm always waiting for us to choke. But in this game, it wasn't because of Kyler. Like, he was the reason that we were in the game, to be honest. Like, the rest of the team was struggling, and the kicker missed a pretty easy kick. And he's kind of getting into that Russell Wilson territory a little bit, where like your team always at least has a shot because of him. You know, like he'll make a big play, and he's a gamer, man. Big playmaker, and huge rushing yards whenever they need it. Huge fourth down conversions. He's got an accurate deep ball. Like he's the real deal, man. He's good. Pretty excited as a Cardinals fan.
Yeah, you guys got one. You guys definitely got one. And I was looking at his card market too. And MXO asked a fun question: Kyler versus Lamar Jackson. Let's hang on to that for just a second.
Yeah.
So I believe his Prism Silver has sold recently in the $2,300 range for a PSA 10.
Yeah.
It's a pretty strong price.
That peaked at $5,000.
Yeah, so it's come down quite a bit, but context there, everything has come down since August, right? So
yeah, it was late September.
Yeah. Okay. Well, things had already started to come down by late September, so I don't know what could have moved the needle up for him, considering he's had a pretty phenomenal season so far, and like serious football people are talking about the Cardinals as like one of the best teams in the NFC. But I don't know. His Prism base looks like it's about 500 right now for a PSA 10. So what are you feeling at these price points?
The pop on the Prism Silver PSA 10 is only 100. It's leveling out about 2,000. I mean, if you believe in Kyler long term, I think now is kind of the time where you look around and say, like, I think I'm ready to buy and, go after a bunch of serious stuff, because, the initial preseason hype has worn off. The sort of like expectation of what he is worn off. And now it's like the real buyers are the only people left, and the real collectors. So if you're a collector, now's your chance to kind of go in on some of his bigger items, find some of that gold stuff, and RPAs and contenders. So, like, I mean, 2,300 for a pop 109 of like the number one fantasy rated quarterback in the whole league is pretty solid. Like if he keeps getting better at this pace, like it won't be that cheap, long term. So I think if you believe in him, now's the time.
Definitely. Great point on the pop. Pop 109 on the silver PSA 10. You could compare that to Zion Prism Silver PSA 10 from the same year is just about 1,000. So there's reasons for that. There's more of an incentive to grade Zion. There's been a bigger period of time to grade Zion, but also I think Prism Silvers in football are just rarer and they're harder to find. So Prism Silver is a little more important relative to football players than it is to basketball players in terms of scarcity. Tougher card to find. Cool. Okay. So, and what about the question that comes in from MXO_cards? He says, Kyler or Lamar? What do you think about that?
I mean, I'd have to go Kyler, because Lamar is just like proving that his accuracy might be an issue, and Kyler is proving that's not really an issue right now. So I think just because of that, Lamar's not going to have this like amazing run game for his whole career. So like he's eventually going to have to figure out the passing game, make it better, and he's struggling a little bit there right now. And Kyler's a very strong passer, so I'd probably go Kyler.
Nice. Iconic Car Collector says, Kyler needs to win an MVP or Super Bowl to take his cards to the next level. Right
Yeah.
now, Lamar and Mahomes have a deeper Hall of Fame resume. And it's at first when I was like, wait a minute, MVP or Super Bowl, I was like, actually, yeah, Lamar has an MVP. Mahomes has Super Bowl MVP. So those guys have accomplished a heck of a lot in their first few seasons, an impressive amount. So that's a good point. It's a fair point. Do you see Kyler being in contention for MVP this year? Just gut level?
Yeah. Team is good enough. Number one fantasy, huge stats. Why not?
Okay. What is the best Kyler Murray to own? Contenders Cracked Ice. What say you to that?
What about it?
Is that the best Kyler to own? Contenders Cracked Ice?
Yeah, that card is sick, man. I would definitely. I love cracked ice. That, Gold Prism rookie probably. I mean, the NTRPA obviously, but there's 99 of those compared to 23 of the cracked ice and 10 of the gold prisms. That's those low numbers are sweet.
Yeah, I know you love those. That's why I was laughing when I saw that comment come up in the chat. All right, there, all you Kyler bros out there. Shout out Brett Stacking Slabs. He said his wife prevented him from putting up a Kyler poster in their room. I don't see why. I don't know what the deal is there. Maybe you just need to get the poster and hang it up, and she can see how nice it is, and she'll enjoy it then. So that nice little Kyler hype moment there for all you Kyler guys out there. Okay, next set of questions, very different topic. I had 3 different questions come in on this topic, and then Josh, you said you had like 15 or so come into you. The first one comes from Rockin' Rhino. He says, should we be worried about BGS? Cardi C Sports Cards. The great Cardi C writes in to say BGS Slabgate. And Devin Crane 37 says BGS was already losing ground to PSA. What about now with the revelation that one of their slabs has been faked? So for those who don't know, a picture surfaced online earlier this week that showed 2 copies of the same card in 2 BGS holders, purportedly, with the same serial number on the slab. So in other words, what we were looking at very likely seems to be one legitimate BGS 9.5 holder and then one that was a replica or a fake. And obviously that causes a lot of concern because we don't want our slabs to be faked. So that's the background there. Now, collectors were able to notice right away that there were several different distinguishing factors that made the fake easily detected. Some of the very obvious ones are the fake slab did not have the tiny perforations that are characteristic of BGS labels. So the gold label itself within the slab is supposed to have small perforations surrounding it. That's typical of a authentic BGS label. The fake did not have that. The font spacing on the subgrades was noticeably different on the fake. There were 6 other tells that collectors had accumulated. Those were the 2 big ones. So that's the background on the topic there. This was in China. So, that's kind of the setup here. And so then people are wondering, like, how important is this? How much should people be worried? Should people be worried? Is this an issue? And a collector brought it to BGS's attention on Twitter, and BGS offered a less than stellar response, in my humble opinion. The gist of the response, in fact, it ended with the phrase, basically the response said, the slabs are different. You can see the differences if you look closely, and then quote, buy wisely, just buy wisely. That was the response. So, okay. I just set the table there. What do you think about this topic, Josh?
It is very concerning. I mean, we've been talking about it the last 2 weeks now. We've sort of been building up. You and I have been saying be a little bit worried about BGS. It's not getting better, and they're almost intentionally not making improvements. It seems just so they can turn away volume because they can't handle it right now. And then, all these other issues are popping up now and people are looking for things now. There's also a video of like a Zion base. Some guy just like, it was fake slab too. He just like pulled it. He just like opened it up. He didn't even have to crack it. It just sort of like came apart. It was so bad.
I saw that.
I think the issue there is that like a lot of new people coming in just sort of trust the slabs. They're just not going to do that much homework to like look that deeply at it. They're just going to buy it in a lot of cases, especially some of that cheaper stuff like the base cards and like that LeBron Prism is like not a super expensive card. So like so people are just kind of like buying it. They're not, if it's not like a $10,000 card, I don't know if people are going to spend a ton of time like looking over every little detail of the slab to make sure it's real. So that is a little concerning to hear from BGS. Whereas with PSA, it's quite a bit easier to spot. It's easier to spot things. They've got all the different security things all over the label, and it's a little bit harder to fake that. It's hard to fake past all of that. So like, it's concerning to hear BGS say that and not say like, yeah, we're aware, we're looking into some new security technology or something, like anything really. They could have said anything. It would have been better. But to me, their response continues to be like, we know about these and we're not going to change. So it's either adapt or die, man. Like it's kind of doom and gloom to say that, but like if you just look forward a little bit, like, and they're not trying to make changes and they're not going to, but the hobby keeps evolving.
Yeah, totally, dude. Well said. This is a wake-up call, and we foreshadowed this at the beginning of tonight's show, and just kind of talking about how people are, on the one hand, kind of gravitating to polar opposites. There's a love-hate thing with the hobby right now. And also there's a lot of new money, new people, new ideas, new approaches coming in. And if there ever was a space where investment money could be allocated, it would be in the grading space, and it would be in improving and offering a more elite tier, and paying for grading and paying a premium for grading to get a more secure case, etc., a more detailed write-up, better tracking of the provenance of a card. When it comes in to get graded, we should, and this is one thing that BGS does a good job of that I wish PSA did. BGS at least records the date on which the card was graded. That's often a very useful piece of information. The more information we had on that, the better too. I just think we could increase transparency and chain of custody information a lot when it comes to sports cards. We could use blockchain technology to improve transactions and logging the transfer of ownership so that we could always trace the chain of custody of a card if need be. I think all that stuff's like super important. So this is an opportunity in a sense for BGS and for all grading companies to step up to the plate here. One of the main purposes of grading is authenticating items. If we need to authenticate the authenticators, maybe we do need grading of the grades. What the hell? Like, I know eBay now has to authenticate shoes. Like, when shoes are sold through eBay, they have to get sent to an independent party who authenticates them, and then they get sent out. Are we going to reach that point with cards, even with slabs, where slabs have to get sent to a third-party authenticator before they get delivered? Like, I don't know what we're looking at here, future-wise.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure it out, man. And another thing is, like, I just wanted to point out, I don't know if this is really in the same, like, tone or direction we want to go, but, like, a big reason that these companies are so backed up is people are just riding this like base wave high from like a few months ago, and all that stuff is sitting at grading companies right now, and there's just tons of raw stuff. I mean, you yourself said you were ready to send 700 cards in, so like
800 now.
I can't imagine that's all high-end stuff that you want to you just want to grade it and get rid of it. So I don't know, man, there's just like a ton of people grading just to flip and make money, and I think that's a big part of it. So I guess like if you are pissed off that these grading companies are taking so long, then like adjust, right, and stop sending them your cards and only send them expensive stuff that you'll get back quickly because of the turnaround times. I don't know.
Yeah, dude, it's true. This is a key bottleneck in the hobby right here, right now, is grading. And dude, everybody has different issues with it. Like, I think if there was one thing that pretty much every content creator collector has in common, we all have issues with grading on
Yeah.
on one level or another, right? Like, come on, like this is a spot, an area that is really ripe for improvements on every level, from communication to relate to customer relations to the product itself, to offering different tiers of service, to increasing transparency. I'll tell you, like, you having several high-end cards in my collection, it doesn't I would gladly pay a premium for a more elite grading service that would provide more details about the card. So give me a paragraph write-up about why it received the grade it received. Put a research team on it who can, track the provenance and tell me a little bit about this card. If there's any internet search history about it, like, I'll pay for an hour I'll pay for an elite grading company to sit with my card for an hour and like really do and create a detailed write-up and then a profile of it on a website. And then that increases that card security. It increases the peace of mind of collectors like me, and if anybody in the future were to own it. There's just so many ways and spaces to make grading more prestigious, to make it more reliable, to make it more trustworthy. But instead, this direction that we're going in, of turning it into just like a very streamlined, let's make it as cheap as possible, as I think that's the wrong direction to go in for grading. Personally, I think, we might, I don't know. These are all half-baked thoughts, so I'm just going to stop rambling. But the bottom line is, like, man, if there ever was a place in the hobby to innovate, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, reality is the reality is that, like, these companies aren't going to change enough until we stop sending them cards. Like, if they're still making money and making profit, there's not much incentive. There's less incentive for them to change. If their bottom line's getting hurt and people stop sending them, then they're going to figure out what's going on and make changes, right? The only way to make these companies feel the pain is to take money out of their pockets. So people keep sending them 300 card bulk orders, on 10 quote unquote 10-day service, and then complaining when it takes 1 year. Like, stop sending it to them.
Yeah. So to put a bow on this discussion, what advice can we give, or opinions can we give on BGS right now, in terms of people who have BGS slabs? Like, dude, I've got plenty of BGS slabs, and I check, okay, good, it's perforated and the font is good. Literally, I went through all my BGS slabs. It's not that many. Most of them I graded myself, but I went through every BGS slab. I made sure it could not be pulled apart. I made sure it was properly sealed, right? I made sure that if the label was a gold or a silver label, it had the perforations. I believe the white labels do not have the perforations, all of them. I looked at the fonts and stuff like that. So, like, if you're BGS, you got BGS stuff in your PC, first of all, you'll feel a lot better if you just go look at it and make sure that it has all the obvious stuff that it's supposed to have. That's going to give you a peace of mind very quickly, or at least it did for me. Then the second thing is, figure out the provenance of your items, especially if you've graded most of them. And if you're really, really concerned, I would talk to BGS, and I would tell them point blank, like, look, I want to send my cards back in to get reslabbed, but I only want to do that if you guys have increased your security features. And if not, I might be taking my business elsewhere. I think that, like, to echo what Josh said, that's really going to be the way to communicate to grading companies that, like, we're really serious. Hey, let's not let this spiral out of control. And to that point, this is hardly the first time that a slab has ever been faked. Slabs have been faked for decades. And the company that was the victim of it at first was PSA. And then PSA responded by improving their security measures tremendously. And that now BGS is going to have to do the same thing. So those are just a couple of thoughts on my end. You can increase your peace of mind just by taking a look at your slabs and noticing, and I'm sure they all will. I think the incidence of fakes is so infinitesimal, but it can have an outsized effect when we see it happen for the first time. So I just check your slabs. You'll feel better about it. communicate to BGS how important this issue is to us and that we want them to fix it. And, as Jeremy Murray said, buy wisely.
Yeah, I don't think BGS is going away anytime soon. There's tons and tons of super high-end cards and hobby hobby iconic cards that are in BGS slabs out in the wild, and they're still grading. So I mean, it's not like it's gonna go away completely. It's just gonna hurt like the future value a little bit. And I mean, honestly, like 4 of my 5 best cards are BGS. Like 6 of my top 8 or something. Like I have a lot of BGS cards as well.
Yeah, and man, Beckett, the legendary name of Beckett, should always have a place in this hobby. I hope that they take their namesake very, very seriously, because I sure as hell do. So, okay.
Website.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, like seriously, I could fix this website and like I could make it 100 times better in a week of work. It's just like, what in the world is going on here?
I know, man. I know you could. I can attest to that firsthand.
Like, do you even know how to look up the prop report? How many things I have to click? Grade
And
card.
you have to log in as well.
Click this. Pop report. Oh, new tab. That's great. Thank you for doing that. Log in. Okay. And then if you don't search the year properly, if you do basketball and you do 2004 Topps Chrome, you get nothing. You got to do 2004-05. Like, oh my God.
The search is that is an absolute dead end.
These are the old PWCC logo. This is an old logo. There's no way that they're sending this out right now. This is just like dead weight. What is this? How is this even possible? I never even noticed that. That's amazing.
Dude, yeah, that's several generations earlier of PWCC branding, I believe, right there.
How?
So the way that to search slabs is if you have the serial number, you can do the serial number lookup. I think that's the only way to go. Trying to search it like that is just never gonna work.
You know, watch 2004 Topps Chrome LeBron James. Oh, there's no cards? That's interesting. He's got tons of them. Oh, I know that to search -05 because I'm a longtime collector, but for someone new, they're gonna be like, "What in the world?"
Look, this is all for this is constructive criticism. All right, we just got done saying that we respect the Beckett brand tremendously, and we definitely do. TJ, but I have to read this comment because it's hilarious. TJ says, Tommy, shout out Tommy, says BGS's website is an assault on the senses. It looks like it was built on angel fire.
What's up, Tommy?
So Christina says, what's up? Somebody says they're going for the vintage feel.
Yeah, like literally like going back in time, vintage feel.
Okay, this is a comment I want to talk about briefly too. This comes from Flores D. I love how everybody jumps down Beckett's throat instantly as if there hasn't been PSA fakes for almost a decade. Hobby playing favorites. Totally fair point. PSA has been victim of fake slabs on high-profile occasions several times. Most of them were involving like 1986 Fleer Jordan rookies, which is also a highly faked card, in addition to fake slabs. But in fairness to PSA, they have taken a number of steps to increase the security of their slabs quite a bit. And they also do the PSA guarantee, which is a very strong way that they, put their money where their mouth is. They stand behind their legitimate and authentic services, and they basically insure them. That you can read about the PSA guarantee if you just Google it. I don't want to go over it all right now. So fair point. Like no grading company is PSA or BGS has escaped this controversy, but PSA did deal with it a while ago, and then they came back strong. They came back stronger as a result of it.
Yeah, I think we're more talking about like the momentum going forward in this discussion, right? Is like, yeah, we obviously know about all like, the past issues, but the point we're trying to make is look forward to like who's going to be making the changes based on what we're seeing, and it's pretty clear.
Yeah, definitely. I'm seeing some other topics being spread in the chat, but I don't want to bring them up because I don't know enough about them, but we will research into them for sure. They're definitely coming from some trustworthy folks. So it's definitely worth looking into there, but I haven't looked into it myself yet. Okay. Speaking of the Iron Sheik, who is definitely in the chat, let's switch topics now to this one. Kaushik, the Iron Sheik, writes in, please discuss the amount of money and cards being exchanged at the Dallas show already today. Arguably the most ever at a show. And what immediately comes to mind, you told me, like, dude, did you see what Grant picked up? So I went to Waldorf Stories on Instagram right away, and I saw that he got a Jordan Exquisite 03, 04. What do you think, man? What do you, neither of us are there, obviously, sadly. But what do you think about that there is perhaps a record amount of money and cards being exchanged at the Dallas show today?
I'm not sure that's really quantifiable, but I mean, just based on the activity I've seen on my stories, it seems like Grant's quote to me was, "It's the who's who of hobby shows." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And he's like, "Just everyone's here, and everyone's just wheeling and dealing high end, and everyone's excited, and the energy's really high." So, I mean, based on those like immeasurable things, yeah, for sure, it seems like it's going really well, and everyone's having fun and trading, buying, selling high end cards, and people are doing a really poor job of wearing masks. I must point that out. Like,
preach,
I don't think I've seen a single video of someone wearing their mask properly.
Well, some people take the mask off to talk to the video, and then it gets put back on.
Well, if they're like really like saggy masks too, where like it's not covering noses and. Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better about not being there.
Yeah, that's why we weren't there, sadly.
Yeah.
Why Josh's wife told all of us we couldn't go.
Pretty much. Pretty much. The wisdom of the family.
Yeah.
She's
more intelligent than any of us.
So everybody there, be safe, please. For your own sake, for the sake of others, and continue to share videos and footage of the event. Many of us are living vicariously through you guys right now. You guys are also crazy for being there during a spike in COVID, but more power to you. Just please be safe and cross your fingers. Say hey, cards. James says it's a super spreader show. We don't even want to wish that on anything, man, but that's funny though.
I was reading that, like, I mean, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I was reading that, like, with the vaccine at 90% success rate and the distribution plans from Pfizer, like, I think they're saying estimate of like 4 to 6 months from now, like we may be getting near zero, which would be awesome because that'll be, building up towards national of next year. Hopefully things are settled by then and we can get back to normal, and next year's national will be all full go. That would be great. Yeah, definitely. Fingers crossed on the vaccine, but man, can you imagine the ramp up going into next year's national if we're all in the clear and society can open back up again? Like, whew, that would be the most anticipated show I can think of in recent memory. Okay. Next topic here. Many topics here. That's a good hour 2 topic. Okay, this kind of touches on the fake thing, but I want to talk about it too. This came from the Hustler Collector. He said, why does PWCC still have a fake Z-Pete Big Men on Court up for auction? So if that is the case, PWCC is very responsive to evidence that indicates that a card is fraudulent. So if you send the evidence to them, they will respond. And they will, and on many instances, I can think back over many different auctions, they have taken items down either because they were presented with concrete evidence that it was trimmed, or that that an item's authenticity is questionable. Obviously, that's good for their brand that they don't sell questionable items, and also they stopped taking raw cards. They don't auction raw cards anymore. It's like obviously they're interested in only auctioning off authentic items. So raise the red flag with them, let them know, and they'll correct that. Do you have any thoughts on that topic? No, I think it's just tell them. Like, I don't know why we are so quick to scream at these companies for not having it already taken down. Just tell them, like, we're a community, work together here.
Yeah.
I don't think they're maliciously trying to do anything. So
Yep, indeed. Okay. This question, I just want to interject this one now. It comes from CPAR55. He says, who are your favorite content providers? And shameless plug, if you go to the cardladder.com free site and go to the content feed, you'll see many of our favorite content creators right there. And their content gets updated every time they post something new. It posts right to that content feed. That's the first thing I go to when I need hobby content. I go right to that feed, and it's just a wealth of it. So favorite content creators, that's a great place to start, is that feed right there. Okay. Moving on here. So, okay, that's a good hour 2 question as well. Which direction we want to go in here? Let's talk about basketball. Let's talk a little bit about basketball. All right. So this comes in from Lingua Sports Cards. This is a big question. The question is, what would help the basketball card market the most in 2021? And he gives 4 options, or it's a multiple choice question here.
I already know the answer.
A, LeBron/Lakers win another title. B,
Nope.
Kawhi or Kevin Durant lead their team to a title.
Nope.
C, Giannis or Luka win their first title.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, or D, it doesn't matter which team wins. And you're saying C, Giannis or Luka. You could probably throw, Zion and other prospects into that group too. But one of these young guys wins their first title. You think that's the right answer?
Probably. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's just, more excitement, more young players. The NBA has like incredible young talent across the board. And if we can start seeing more of that young talent get to like championship level and that high level, then I think it's just better for the hobby overall. Everyone gets more excited. I mean, we both know, you and I know, the thing that drives the hobby the most is prospects, the young guys, the hype, the potential. And if we get some of those young guys living up to that potential, that's great for the hobby.
Yeah, that's a good point. You've persuaded me. My answer was going to be LeBron and Lakers winning another title would be like really good for the hobby, because when the superstars keep elevating and keep transcending and keep becoming bigger and bigger icons, I think we have like a lot of evidence in the hobby over the long haul that like, as if you have like this handful of like super collectible players who just continue to do amazing transcendent things while they're active in the sport, like that spills over very nicely into post-retirement collectability of that player. It builds legends, it builds myths, it builds a whole mystery. So like I was actually leaning towards that one, but I do agree with you that like the young players are in some sense like the engine of the hobby, and then the legends and the goats are more so like the backbone of the hobby, or like the structure of the hobby. So maybe souping up the engine is what's called for here. But ultimately, I was almost gonna say it just doesn't matter, because like you could put a positive spin on pretty much any one of those things happening, and kind of the rising tide lifting all boats sort of thing too.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not one of those, then it's something super unexpected, and that's good for the hobby too. What about option E, Trey Young making the playoffs? Come on, guys, this is the year.
Okay. So Lamim James writes in, one of our most foremost scholars and listeners, and his question this week was, or his topic suggestion was, the rise of the young GOAT Trey Young.
You can't even say it without laughing.
Okay, so dude, so Trey Young has not played basketball since March, which is true for a lot of people. It's true for Steph Curry. A lot of people have not played basketball in a long time. Trey's market, though, has been really hot, and it's getting hotter. Like, and it's funny how the dominoes fall. It's like Trey's jersey-colored prison parallel is the red out of 299. and we saw like a PSA 10 set an all-time high, then the PSA 9 set the all-time high, then the BGS 9.5 set the all-time high, then a Raw set the all-time high. So like the dominoes are just falling on Trey Prism color. I saw that happen over the span of the last week, and it cracked me up. Trey's like Purple Wave PSA 9 set an all-time high. Like Trey's cards are selling for higher even than they were in August in some instances. So, there's and I get messages from people who are just telling me like, dude, Trey Young is a hot commodity at the Dallas show. People are pumping him up on social media. People are super high on Trey, and we are here to maybe balance the equation a little bit. So with that said, could you balance the Trey Young equation for the hobby, maybe just a tad?
God, which way do I want to go with this? I don't know. Good luck to everyone holding tens and thousands of dollars of Trey Young. Good luck.
The third year, man. This makes me very nervous as a collector of Luka. Makes me nervous for everybody who collects young players. The third year is when the rubber meets the road, and we saw it happen with Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson won the MVP last year. Lamar Jackson is the first player to ever start 25-5. The Ravens are definitely, one of the teams who have a legitimate Super Bowl chance, and yet his market is down 75% for his Prism-based PSA 10 from where it was in August. Dude, Lamar Jackson is a bona fide, somebody said it earlier in the chat, like he's building a Hall of Fame resume. It's still early, way too early to call that. But if a player who's that special can come out and still be leading a team to like a potential Super Bowl run, but like he's not putting up phenomenal stats maybe like in the early going here in the season, and like his market is absolutely nosedives, like that's got to give you some pause about any third-year player.
Yeah. I mean, I could be totally wrong, right? I've said this many, many times. He could be great. He could be a phenomenal player. But as we've seen, even if you do play great and you continue to play great, that doesn't mean that your card prices are going to keep going up. It takes a leap, right? Like Luka prices went crazy because he took a giant leap. He went from like relatively unknown rookie. We saw some flashes to like, oh my God, this dude's top 5 in the NBA. His team's like going toe to toe with one of the best teams in the league. And we haven't seen that next huge leap from Trey in terms of like leading a team and having team success. We've only just seen these flashes of like this brilliant offensive player. So he's gonna have to make a leap in order to justify this stuff. Just like we needed to see a leap from Lamar on the like potential to beat Mahomes and win in the playoffs, and we haven't seen it. So his prices have reflected that. So it's risky. He's extremely risky player. Extremely risky.
And right now, still as we speak, there's an active GOAT right now whose market is on the uptick, but so like LeBron's 2003 Topps Chrome base PSA 10 is at 10K, which is an amazing amount of money for a base card. But it once was much higher. It once was above 15,000, if I'm not mistaken. If we use that card as a proxy for LeBron's market, look, I'm not a LeBron collector. I added a freaking LeBron Grail this offseason. Like, enjoy the greatness while it's there. If you want to be able to enjoy an NBA season with a less risk and more, card hobby peace of mind, what better is there than LeBron? He's in all these great new products that are coming out. In fact, I think he's going to be, in some sense, carrying these new, and he's going to be one of the key chases in these new products because the draft class isn't super hot this year. Like, I'm just, as an alternative, guys, there's a great, great player out there, and he has cards in every tier. If you want, $50 cool, extremely cool inserts, all the way up to the mega, mega grails for the great high-end collectors out there, he's got them all.
And he's still the best player in the league. He's like Mahomes with the already resume of being one of the GOATs. It's nuts. It's nuts. He is the best player in the league currently, and he's established himself as one of the all-time greats. It's like the perfect storm for hobby. I don't understand how his prices have gone down. As I guess it's like the Mahomes thing, and maybe they'll explode, but
Yeah, dude.
I don't see how it could get any safer than
That's what I'm saying. And like, honest, like, and I'll give a plug to Kobe and to Jordan as well, because those are two great guys to collect. But like, both of those guys' prices right now are really, really high. So like, they have gone up a lot in the last 2 months, depending upon the card. Like Kobe rookies have kind of tapered off a bit. The more common ones, those kind of peaked in August. But like Jordan and Kobe are setting all-time highs every day. I literally see them happen. So like those guys are really high right now. If you're just in the GOAT market, like there's one guy who is like a tremendous opportunity right now. I think it's like really obvious, but you can't go wrong with any of those GOATs. They allow you the opportunity to collect some of the best sets and the best designs, and it's a really fun hole to go down. In terms
this
of
is
like,
like I just wanted to point this out. This is like the most ridiculous thing in the hobby to me. So the 2019 Silver Prism LeBron PSA 10 is pop 1600, and the 2019 Optic version, same card, hollow. It's like the same parallel, PSA 10 silver, much better action shot, way better, like much cooler looking card. I think most agree. And that pop is 217, so about 1/8 the pop, and the price of the Prism is higher. Like I am buying the living crap of this card. It's $400 compared to the other one being what's the other one cost me? That one's way down though. That one was like okay, that one's 727 or 750, and that one used to be like $2,000 for a little while there, which is obviously insane. Anyways, just like another rant. If you're looking like if you're like, oh, it's easy for you to say buy LeBron, there's nothing to buy, it's all so expensive. There's still like deals to be had within LeBron that I pay attention to pretty aggressively. Like I watch all this stuff. This is just like a small example. Like, hey, everyone's hyped on Prism. Well, like Optic is better looking and more rare, and just something to look at.
dude, Optic is very nice. This card incidentally came to me as like a throw-in a trade, and I would have never sought it out, but like these cards pop. 2019 Optic hollows, they are very nice cards.
And that's like it's got the top scrum feel of like the clean borders, right? So
Totally. Totally. Rodman says the Optic chart looks healthy. Well said. Well said. That's words of wisdom from a hobby vet right there. Words of wisdom. So look, that was is from collecting the oil. The question is, I'd like to hear your thoughts on speculative surges, in particular the unsustainable ones. They're like a cross between a game of hot potato and a cat chasing a laser pointer.
Are we talking about like Pokemon soccer stuff?
It wasn't specified, so let's take it in whatever direction we want. The first thing I thought of was preseason surges, like basketball, football, like. But I mean, God, if you want to talk like soccer, that's a whole. I mean, that's a whole. Or like when a product first comes out, where you speculate on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, etc. So I don't know. See which direction do you want to take this in?
I mean, I kind of want to give my super boring, but I have to say an answer of like, if prices are going up super, super fast in a short amount of time, sell. And if it's going down super, super fast in a short amount of time, buy. Like it's pretty simple, but like seems to be overlooked sometimes. And it's just like, people get excited about the hype of stuff going up and they feel like it's going to keep going up, but like, don't be afraid to take profit if stuff's going up crazy fast and you have some of it. If you own Pokemon or soccer a few months ago, like so many people messaging you and me, Chris, privately of like, should I sell? And we're just sort of like, I mean, you tripled your money in a week. Like, can you really complain? Like, why not? Right. And then, 2 months later, they're wishing they would have sold, I guess.
Yeah, dude. 100%. 100%. And the other thing too, man, sometimes people they look at cards as like too much as commodities or as products on a shelf. Like, yes, it is a product, but do you like the card? Like, do you enjoy owning the card? Like, isn't that a relevant question here? I don't know. What the hell? Like, you and I both have had cards in our PCs. They experience a surge, but like, we just like the card, so we just keep it. The value goes down a little bit, we're still keeping it. It goes back up again, we're still keeping it. Like, sometimes, like, people are so new to the hobby also that, like, they don't realize that this hobby is built upon years upon years upon years of cycles and new products and the whole nine. Like, that's why we go to the great lengths to build all-time sales histories in Card Ladder. So that one of the reasons why is just so that when people log into Card Ladder, they want to go look up a card, they can see, wow, this card has been selling since 2004 or whatever the case may be. Like, and they can see that, like, there is history behind this hobby. This hobby was not invented 6 months ago when many people got in. This hobby goes through cycles. It's not ever live or die, one spike, one wave, etc. Sit back and enjoy this hobby and enjoy your cards. That's, if I could just get on my soapbox for a minute.
Let's make all hour 2 about collecting, because it's been way too much investment talk. I'm pulling up, I sorted by LeBron current value just to show the and I fudged it, but the graphs and all of the like super expensive cards basically only go up and right, and the reason for that is twofold. One, they just, like, they don't sell as often, so when they do sell again a year after the last sell, it's just higher. But I think the main reason is that, like, these super expensive cards, people just own them because they like them and they want to have them in their collection. So whether the prices go up, down, like, the perceived value of whatever goes up and down, but because base cards go up and down, like, people don't care about that stuff. The people that own these cards don't care that the 2019 rookie LeBron Laker card changed. They don't care about what theirs does relative to that, because it's just so rare that, and they like collecting it, that they just don't care, so they just keep it.
It's so true. It's a question that just, like, as we get inundated with topics surrounding when to buy, when to sell, when to hold, I find myself even sometimes, like, getting sucked into that game, and it's a very, like, interesting game. It's lots of strategy, lots of theories. It's a really fun game, but, like, like you said, dude, like, if you want to think about the market, which cards are the ones that continually show maybe not the parabolic growth over a short period of time, but that keep on going in the right direction, up and to the right? It's the cards that people love to have in their collections and that they just enjoy, and that they don't feel tempted to sell just because a new all-time high is achieved. So those are definitely the cards I want in my PC.
The other thing I noticed is that 2018, 2019, this hobby exploded.
Yes.
My God.
Yes, it did. There's been like explosions. 2018 had one, 2019 had one, 2020 like obviously had a phenomenal one. But the 2020 explosion had a retreat, whereas the 2018 and 2019 ones didn't have so much of a retreat. So, like, the 2020 retreat is a sign to me that, like, we are heavy on investors right now, and we're heavy on people who are maybe a little bit new. Like Kaushik says, right, you need to find the stuff that makes you happy. It's so important to keep you in this hobby for years, dude. 100%. And that's why I trotted out this card. We just pulled this card from a box of Prestige, 2013 Prestige, like the other day. It's Anthony Bennett. Okay, the number 1 pick, the first Canadian-born player to be picked first overall in the NBA, made a name for himself at UNLV, etc. But we all know how that story ends. And look, this card would have had so much investor hype behind it if the hobby was where it was when he came in. And the card tells its own story after a period of time. Keep cards around like this just because it's a part of the hobby's history, right? So, like, just remember that the story can go a number of different ways, and at the end of the day, the thing that has made this hobby so successful is just people enjoying themselves and enjoying collecting, enjoying the community of it, etc. One of the hallmarks of this show.
Well said, sir.
Yeah. What have you learned? I see you cycling through LeBron Grails, and they all are going in the same direction.
You've done a great job adding LeBron Grails. I enjoy looking at them.
No, we have great members, dude. Who these are all requests. These are all requests from people. So
The never-ending chase, dude. Like, I think of myself as a pretty decent LeBron collector, and I don't have most of these cards.
dude, he's got some really sweet cards. In terms of like the selection of great rookie cards, because like Jordan's selection of rookie cards is abysmal. LeBron's selection of rookie year cards are enough to occupy a collector for a lifetime.
So, especially now.
Yeah, especially now. Several lifetimes, perhaps.
Right. I mean, let's look at this crap. Like, high-end exquisite, essential credentials, 1 of 1, black BGS black label, refractor, BGS 9.5 gold refractor, which just sold for 319,000. Gold refractor Bowman, exquisite rookie limited logos, ultimate collection. Dude, there's so many awesome cards.
There really are.
I own almost none of these.
You own that one though. That's maybe one of my favorites for sure. Is the Topps Chrome Gold. I love the EX also.
Those are cool. I like that they're numbered 102, so it's like pretty decent chance of getting one. I mean, the 101 is obviously amazing, but the now, having 102 options is pretty good for collectors.
We have a quick question in the chat. How did you do that search in Card Ladder to be able to look at all those LeBron Grails?
On the ladder, we've got this little filter search LeBron, whatever you want, and then on the right, you can sort by current value.
Boom. There you go. Oh, and real quick, Flores says, what about that dude whose LeBron PC is 80% super fractors?
That guy is a long timer. He's been around the hobby for a super long time. All the veterans that I know on Instagram told me that they've been waiting for him to come on board, show his stuff. But I've been told he's got a lot more super fractors coming. He's got 9.5 limited logos, rookie LeBron exquisite. He's got BGS 9, RPA at a 99. He's got awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I think his name is crap. I actually don't know. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I posted it the other day, so go look at my stories.
It's like Bob something.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say his name.
It's okay. So, all right.
That one pops on the screen, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yes.
What's the auction? Hasn't started? What's it at?
I don't know. I don't know if it started or not. I don't even want to look at it, to be honest.
It's just so painful that you can't. That's your number one, right? That would be it.
It once was, when it felt like it once might have been realistic to get one, and now that it feels very unrealistic to get one, I just have put it out of mind.
Such a defeatist.
Bob M. Track. There you go, Bob M. Track.
Look at that, PSA 9. That would be cool to have a 33 Gaudy PSA 9 Babe Ruth. That would be sweet.
Dude, side note, man, Babe Ruth cards are on fire right now.
Really?
Yeah. So I did a headline. I think it was the 33 Gaudy Red PSA 2 set an all-time high yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it would be cool to own like a low grade of one of those super old cards. You're just like holding something made, 100 years ago. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. Especially as I've been researching more and more cards. Like that's the chart that you want. That's what you want your chart. That's like a 16-year chart. That's what you want your chart to look like.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris for writing the best headlines in the whole hobby. Look, every freaking day. You're like a Terminator. Every day we got 7 or 8 just like golden nuggets of information of cards that people should be looking out for. It's not. Someone made a comment to this the other day that Card Ladder is maybe perceived as like, oh, what's like the top 5 hottest? Dude, there's so much more once you dig in. There's so much going on. Like, you can keep yourself busy for hours just browsing.
You really can. That's one of the things I hear a lot from people is that they get into Card Ladder and then they just start digging, and before you know it, 6 hours have passed, and they've just gone down the black hole of card data. One thing I liken it to, browsing Card Ladder is kind of like being in the greatest sports card shop of all time. You have 5,000 different cards and boxes to look at. You have the full palette of information right at your fingertips. And then there's a nice curated eBay link that you can click if you want to go and start shopping for a card once you finally find the one that you want. You can do it all from the comfort of your own home. Like when I go into a card shop and I start looking at the display case, I'm like, I don't know if it's a fair price, what's being charged or not. But what if when you were in a card shop and you were looking at a display case, you picked up a card and you could see the full sales history of that card. You could get a link to Cardboard Connection. You could look at other competing sales that are being offered at other shops. That's literally what you can do. That could be your shopping experience if that's how you wanted to use Card Ladder.
And we just passed 5,000 cards. Shout out to Christina. Say hello, Christina.
Christina, she's adding cards as we speak.
She's like, stop talking, adding cards.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Ready for two?
Yes, I need to get a phone charger, though.
All right. I'll see you in 5.
All right, buddy.
The future is here. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. A Hot 100 chart, updated data. The most accurate price guide on the market. Every card has its own profile with a wealth of information. Know the precise, real-time value of any card in the system. On demand. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby. The game changer is here. Card Ladder.